Like it or not, life constantly urges us to take the next step. People travel and migrate to new places. As they travel, they fire up the stove and bring with them to their new abode the flavors from home. From migration to the logistics of food. From the evolution of culinary techniques to the many paths down which fate might lead you, the rapid pace of change is the one thing that doesn't change. Ningxia, Tibet. The warm, moist monsoon from the Indian Ocean is fanning plant growth. This is Baima Jiangdui's busiest season.
It's so small.
Gastrodin and reishi mushrooms are important sources of income for Baima Jiangdui. But in a month's time, their season will be over.
It's broken.
Ningxia's mountains tower 7,000 meters over its valleys. It's a county rich in alpine plants. Baima Jiangdui's brother has finished school. Baima Jiangdui has to earn enough money, and quickly, to pay his brother's university fees. But first, he's getting him a special gift. About 80% of Tibet's forests are found in Ningxia. Baima Jiangdui is searching for a beehive that he discovered a few days earlier. He has to get to the top of the tree. The locals regard honey as a precious, nutritious food, worth taking risks for. Surprisingly enough, this is a centuries-old custom. Baima Jiangdui ties himself to the tree with a vine. His life now depends on the strength of the vine. Things go well. After an hour, Baima Jiangdui has made good progress. His dad arrives and anxiously looks on. Baima Jiangdui is slowing down, as it's getting too dangerous to chop the trunk with both hands.
Don't be afraid. Look up and keep a firm grip. Don't be nervous.
Three hours have gone by. He's almost there. Now he unties himself.
I get scared climbing on tall trees, but I know I can't be scared. Otherwise, I'll fall down.
Wild bees aren't afraid of humans, but Baima Jandui learned from his elders how to smoke the bees out of their hive. When the tree hole is hacked open, there sits the sweetest honey.
How delicious. We haven't had it for a long while.
Sweets of any kind are a rare commodity in this isolated forest. Honey is the best gift Baima Jandui can give his family. Something sweet is the simplest and most original kind of delicacy. 80% of honey is fructose and glucose. Unlike refined cane sugar, honey can be readily absorbed by the body in its undissolved form. Honey is irreplaceable in Chinese cuisine, both in cooking and in making desserts. For young Tibetans, honey is a 10-story climb away. Elsewhere, the search for honey can be a journey of 1,000 miles. The rape flowers are blossoming. Tan Guangshu is ready to set off.
Start off.
Tan Guangshu is a professional beekeeper, a job that over 20 years has helped him raise 2 children. Every spring, Mr. Tan and his wife go on a blossom chasing trip. Overnight, they've driven 500 kilometers to the Qing Mountains. China's best pagoda blossom honey is found in the Qing Mountains. Mr. Tan cannot relax as beekeepers rely on good weather to make their living. It is mid-April. A sudden change in the weather brings heavy rain and an early end to the flower season. Nobody knows how long the bad weather will last. "20-odd years ago, Mr. Tan promised his fiancée a sweet career for them both.
When I was engaged to old Tan, he said being beekeepers would take us on many romantic trips. But after we got married, we braved the wind and dew. It's a hard life.
In the old days of limited transport, people making long trips would take preserved foods with them. These foods were called road dishes. More than just sustenance, they offered travelers the familiar flavors of home. Mrs. Tan, who comes from Sichuan, brings joy and life to the seemingly lonely journey.
It takes time.
I know that.
She has very little patience.
Soft tofu is the simplest and most appetizing Chuanyu food. Mrs. Tan can make it with only the simplest utensils.
I like being a henpecked husband. She's amazing. She holds up more than half of the sky.
I know you are starved without me. You must be hungry, so you're pretending to praise me.
Sichuan women can do anything.
Heating the soy milk in brine makes its proteins combine in a net-like structure. Bean curd is produced when the proteins in soybeans restructure and congeal. Once the excess water is removed, The change in the tofu's texture determines its taste. Something marvelous is about to happen in the makeshift tent. It's time to add some condiments. Some refreshing coriander, cool mint, crispy deep-fried peanuts, and some sour and spicy pickles. All of these help the travellers to forget their fatigue.
Tan, look at my soft tofu. It's the same as I made at home. The water is so clear.
A great success.
It's beautiful.
It tastes good when eaten hot. Great.
I've made you tofu, so you're so gentle to me.
You're a wonderful wife.
Now you say that.
She's the boss of our family.
He's a hand-picked husband.
The delicious meal marks the beginning of the next leg of their journey. Everything they own, weighing over 10 tons, must be loaded onto the truck 2 hours before dusk. The beekeepers spend 11 months a year on the road. They work very hard to provide a comfortable life for their 2 school-aged children. Through 20-odd years of toil, always on the move, rain or shine, the hard-working couple have kept each other company. The familiar flavors of home help dispel loneliness too. Mr. Tan and his wife travel with their bees. But another migratory group travels light. They bring nothing but their hands. The wheat on the northern side of the Qing Mountains is ready for harvest, and machines have not yet displaced the traditional reaper. Reaping is an ancient profession. Wheat reapers challenge modern machinery with their bare hands. Wheat, which once changed human civilization, is the most widely grown crop in the world. From common buns to guoqui, to noodles, bread stuffed with cooked meat, lamb soup, and a wide variety of snacks, flour is the cornerstone of the Shanxi diet. But for the most aromatic noodles, you have to wait until harvest time. Wheat is rich in starch and protein, and it's at its sweetest when just harvested.
We can't cheat these hard-working laborers.
All right,
Take the money for your hard labor.
we've made some money.
You earned it.
Shanxi people make noodles by cutting dough into strips 3 centimeters wide. With the right amount of heat, these strips give noodles from a fresh harvest their perfect texture and delightful aroma. Grandma knows better than anyone the secret to making noodles. To make delicious noodles, you need the intense heat of a well-fanned stove. Sa tse, a sauce for the noodles, is made of black fungi, carrots, and silken tofu. The zingy, oil-doused chili paste is the best companion to a bowl of noodles.
We're all farmers. Don't stand on ceremony. A simple meal. That's good.
It's the custom to show the reapers hospitality. After a hard day, a high intake of carbohydrate can help maintain the body's glycogen level. Today, there's no real advantage in reaping by hand except on narrow strips on steep slopes. A reaper earns up to 200 yuan for harvesting around 650 square meters in a 10-hour day.
A harvester only costs 100 yuan. You want 200.
A harvester is a machine and it only needs fuel. But we have to cut a handful at a time.
But the pay you ask for is far too high, higher than the market price.
With this money, I can buy something for my child and pay off my debts. If we can make some money for a bit of food and drink, we'll be happy.
The reapers have been out for over 10 days, but they've earned less than 1,000 yuan each so far. The relatively high cost of reapers makes them something of an anachronism. Ma Wan-chuen and his men may well be China's last ever group of wheat reapers. Their age-old profession and their legends are fading away in the face of machine competition. Our food may come from the mountains, or it may come from the faraway ocean. The food-gathering journey from the field to the dinner table is an arduous one. The ocean is man's last hunting ground. Scientists predict that within 50 years, China's ocean fish stocks will be completely depleted. Zhejiang fisherman Yang Shilu believes that fishing will be a viable career only for another 10 years at best. Following a 3-month closed season, today is the first day of the fishing season in the East China Sea. This is what is called a couple's boat. It's how fishermen here get around. After a 4-hour, 60 nautical mile boat ride, the couple cast their first net. Sanmen Bay on the coast of Zhejiang province once enjoyed a diverse and plentiful stock of fish. With a full moon and an approaching king tide, Mrs. Young isn't feeling well. She's getting seasick. When the couple are at sea, it is Mr. Young who cooks and does all the chores. It's been a tacit pact between them for over 20 years. Boiled noodles with deep-fried crabs. It's a no-frills dinner, and when it's over, 6 hours of laborious work lie ahead of them. The first cast of the net for the season is an important moment.
It's hard to make money from the sea. To make a living, we have to make great efforts.
They raise the net anchor and haul the net aboard. This net has been in the water for 20 hours. When it's pulled up, the catch proves disappointing. They finally glimpse a butterfish. just as it gets away. 6 hours have gone by, and Mr. Young hasn't caught any fish. Fortunately, he does get some sea crabs. Once again, the ocean is generous.
Our whole family relies on this boat. Without the sea, there'd be no living for us.
A night's hard work has brought a catch of 50 kilos. Their sea crabs will be sold to restaurants in cities around China in the next 10 hours. Finding the ingredients for cooking often takes hard work and extraordinary patience. Finding mountain produce is no exception. After spending half a day searching, Rao Changqing is still empty-handed. He's trekking on the Qingfeng Fault, 2,400 meters above sea level. At this altitude, the mountain dew nurtures a rare delicacy. Shiitake mushrooms. Growing on dead tree trunks, they are the king of mushrooms. These days, shiitakes are also grown commercially. But while farmed shiitakes look great, Mr. Rao knows they don't taste nearly as good.
Wild mushrooms don't look very pretty, but they're more nutritious. They're tastier.
Shiitakes grow slowly in the cool climate, but they're fleshier. The extreme temperature range between day and night causes the cap of the mushrooms to crack open. It takes a special set of climatic conditions for shiitakes to thrive. A fresh shiitake mushroom is 90% water. The secret lies in the drying process. Farmed mushrooms are char-grilled in a griller room. When fresh, the mushrooms are nowhere near as flavorful as when they are dried. This is because as they dry, they release a great deal of guanylylic acid, which gives them their intense flavor. So it is only when the fungi are dried that they become a delicacy. Mr. Rao prefers to dry his wild shiitakes by natural means. The fleshy shiitakes dry in the sun and wind, slowly building up their flavor. Shiitakes that grow in the wild don't look as nice as farmed shiitakes, and they don't attract a good price. Mr. Rao intends to save this rare delicacy for his family. Wherever you go, people have special treats reserved for their loved ones. The locals call octopi tide gazers. They come out during high tide and go into hiding during low tide. Young Shalu is a skilled octopus collector.
My parents get busy when I come home. They go out to catch mudskippers and octopi. Then we three make a meal together. It's such a happy feeling.
The collagen in octopi mixes with the condiments to form a thick sauce. Their flesh is slightly firm and chewy. This delicacy is the pride of local fishermen. But Lily's favorite seafood is still hiding in the mud. It is the mudskipper, an amphibious fish. Unless you spend at least 5 years perfecting the technique, don't even think about catching them. Mr. Yang catches these 5-centimeter fish from a distance of 10 meters. He uses a 5-meter fishing rod with a 6-meter line.
When I was little, I loved mudskippers, but Dad didn't know how to catch them. He spent years learning the skills.
The whole process takes 1/8 of a second. It's captured with a high-speed camera.
Dad, you're amazing.
Be proud of your dad.
A few mudskippers are all you need to make a delicious fish stew. The fish is tender and the stew is bursting with flavor. Smoking mudskippers over a hay-fueled fire expels the oil from the fish. Once they are dried in the sun, they can be used as condiments to accompany any other seafood or dish. They add rich flavors without overpowering the flavor of the other ingredients. It's an elderly man's occasional treat for himself. The more extraordinary a delicacy is, the more ordinary it looks. Likewise, the joy and fulfillment from a day's hard work are incredibly rewarding. Abalone from coastal Dongshan to Shanghai, groupers from the Pearl Delta region to Chengdu, vegetables from Guangxi to Beijing, and mushrooms from Kunming to Xinjiang. Insatiable appetites and a highly developed infrastructure are the drivers behind the rapid transportation of food. Travel is no longer exclusive to people. Food is always on the go too. The free flow of food and people has created a huge diversity of flavors and cooking styles. This griddle, 2 meters in diameter, is an outzer. It's used to make the iconic Shandong pancake. The rainy midsummer is the wettest season in the Yimeng Mountains. It's Grandma's birthday. Xiao Hui and her family have spent days preparing for it.
You'd better do a good job. Make it smooth.
A woman enjoys life while a man labors. Men are left with hard labor.
I wouldn't bother you if I had good legs.
She doesn't appreciate it.
Shandong pancakes are made from ground dried sweet potato, or they may use soya, wheat, sorghum, or corn. Chunshugo is a village deep in the Meng Mountains. It clings stubbornly to its traditions. With the griddle heated up, The moistened flour is spread out evenly. A batter quickly forms. As the steam rises, the distinctive aroma of the grains fills the air. Heat is the key. Too much and the pancake will char. Too little and it stays wet and sticky. With 60 years of experience behind her, Grandma is without a doubt an expert. She controls the heat entirely by experience. Hot pancakes straight from the griddle are crisp. As they cool down, they slowly become chewy. These days, pancakes are used to wrap everything, from meat and fish to vegetables and salads. You can put in a little or a lot. But as far as Shandong natives are concerned, pancakes go best with spring onions. To Shandong people, the taste and texture are what matter most with pancakes. These chewy, starchy pancakes are a bit sweet, but they are not for the weak-jawed. Wraps and pancakes of all sorts have evolved in a spectacular way. In Chaozhou, Guangdong province, 1,700 kilometers to the south, spring roll wraps are made instantly with a single deft motion. Filled with mung beans, spring onions, dried prawns and fish sauce, deep-fried spring rolls are crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. 1,600 kilometers west, in Guiyang, Servava or silk doll is the favorite wrap among the local girls. This small wrap can hold 20 vegetables and 4 teaspoons of sauce. Wraps and pancakes come in a huge variety of shapes and sizes, with fillings of every kind. All these wraps may seem to have migrated and evolved on their own, but when we trace their migratory past, their migration ultimately coincided with that of people. On the Yunnan Guizhou Plateau, every villager, young and old, is scouring the creek bed for a wonderful delicacy. They leave no stone unturned in the search for a magical ingredient. In a remote village in the southeast of Guizhou, Li Jianying from the Miao minority is waiting for her happiest moment.
I'm so happy.
Her parents are coming home after 6 months away. The assembly line worker transforms herself once again into the mother of a Miao family. The rice flowers are blooming. With no time to spare, Yu Gaoli is getting ready to make some soused fish for the family. The first step in making soused fish is to make sweetened rice. Sticky rice is washed and steamed before yeast is added to begin the fermentation process. The carp, which have been fattened on rice flowers, are now in their prime. Catching the carp is more like an outdoor family game. The carp are cleaned, arranged on the stove, and smoked over a low charcoal flame all through the night. Next, the power of the wind is needed to dry and ferment the fish, creating a unique blend of flavors. The sticky rice is now covered in mold. The fungus produces a variety of enzymes that convert starch into sugars, giving a refreshing sweet and sour taste. The sweetened rice is mixed with salt and chili before being wrapped in the fish. The rice flour carp may be eaten as they are, or they may be steamed or deep fried. However they're prepared, the taste of soused fish and sweetened rice is irresistible. But the most fascinating ingredient is still hiding on the creek bed. Every August in Chaogang village, every villager, young and old, is out searching for one thing. Leishan fish sauce is incredibly delicious, and the rock-climbing fish is its key ingredient. The opportunity to make the sauce only comes once a year. It must be made with the freshest chilies, preferably Jingjiao chilies. Fresh ginger is used to neutralize the fishy odor. Litsea pungans, known locally as mountain pepper, is a condiment found in southwest China. It has a strong and enchanting aroma. Plenty of salt is added to season and preserve the fish. Once all the ingredients are thoroughly mixed, they're sealed in a clay jar, allowing the flavors to brew. Mr. and Mrs. Yu work in a clothing factory in Guangdong. They've come home because their half-hectare of corn is ready for harvest. As the family's breadwinners, the parents also have to maintain the house and do other chores. They get to spend 2 weeks with the family. Two weeks is also the time it takes to make soused fish. The lactic acid bacteria and yeast catalyze to create an aroma. The volatile organic acid gives the fish sauce a special tang. This is how this condiment, the pride of the Miao people, is made. A teaspoon of fish sauce can turn the most ordinary ingredient into a wonderful sour delight. This is the most delicious family meal of the year. It is also bittersweet and emotional.
I'm happy when Mom and Dad are back, but I know they're leaving soon. I can't do anything to make them stay.
In rural China, over 61 million children, equivalent to the entire population of the United Kingdom, are growing up without their parents by their side. These children are the home-sitters of rural China. Li Jianying and her brother have prepared a small jar of fish sauce for their parents. 5 o'clock in the morning. Time to say goodbye.
Don't miss us. Eat more at each meal. Remember. Goodbye.
The jar of flavors from home will travel with the parents to Guangdong, a journey of 1,000 kilometers. Perhaps one day and far away, the fish paste will evolve into some other dish. Food has been evolving and traveling with people for thousands of years. No matter how far you travel, the familiar flavors of home are one thing that always remains in your mind. Like a gastronomic GPS, they link the life of the traveler to deep-rooted memories of home. Chang Shekun has returned home after living abroad for 40 years. A solemn ancestral worship ceremony puts a formal seal on his homecoming. In this part of China, it's the custom to treat villagers to a banquet. A village banquet is required for all important announcements. This is a homecoming banquet. Friendships from 40 years ago are rekindled in an instant. Mr. Chung worked on a ranch in the United States for many years. The familiar tastes of home were another encouragement for Mr. Chung to return. In Quanzhou, Fujian and Taiwan, and among Chinese expatriates in Southeast Asia, the tastes of home are known as the flavors from antiquity. In the sandy fields of the coastal village of Dasha, they grow a plain-looking local vegetable. It looks ordinary enough, but most of the crop is exported. It's sand radish, almost 90% water, but with a smooth, silky, non-fibrous texture. Lean pork with a little fat, preferably with the skin still on, is cut and stir-fried with mushrooms, oysters and dried prawns. Rich pork, refreshingly sweet radish and perfectly steamed rice make up the enticing dish of radish rice. For Quanzhou people, it's a simple and rewarding staple. While toiling abroad for much of his life, Mr. Chung brought blessings and prosperity to his large household. His lifetime journey began and will now end in the place he calls home. This is the millennia-old desire of the Chinese people, simple yet powerful. Up in the Shandong pastoral highlands of Gansu province, Mr. Tan and his wife are getting ready to head off to their next stop, some hundreds of kilometers distant. In Ningche, the reapers have returned home to Guyana to harvest the wheat in their own fields. On the East China Sea, the couple's boat once again weighs anchor to make for the next fishing spot. China is undergoing radical change. People and food are traveling and finding new homes at an ever faster rate. But no matter how hurried their footsteps might be, or what challenges and joys they might experience in life, the taste of home reminds the Chinese 3 times a day to know where they are going, while never losing sight of their origins. The depth of Chinese cuisine is unmatched. But as master chefs retire, traditional recipes are dying out, a problem that awaits a solution by culinary artists of every school. The next episode will tell the story of how the culinary arts are passed on.